boys and girls. Today, we're going to read about the California Indians that lived in the southern coastal region. Please take out your social studies book and open up to page 68. If you need to pause the video here to get your book, you may do so, but I'm going to start reading now. Lesson 3, the southern coastal region. Don't forget that you should be listening for the tribes that lived in the southern coastal region and one interesting fact you learned about each of the tribes that lived there. You are there. The leaders in your Chumash village declare that the trading is finished. The strangers who have come to your village to trade are busy loading their canoes along the southern coast of California. You step closer to see what the strangers have received. You see shell beads, baskets of seeds, and bows and arrows. You wonder what items your village received in exchange. You hope the trade was a fair one. And you can see an illustration of an Indian village in the southern coastal region. The land and people. Among the tribes of the southern coastal region of California were the Chumash. They lived along the Pacific Ocean from present-day Paso Robles to Malibu. They also lived in the Coahuila Valley and in the transverse mountain ranges. Some lived on the northern Channel Islands. Some of the Chumash lived in the Gabrielino, who are also known as the Tongva. Gabrielino lands stretch from Topanga south to Laguna Beach and included what is now Greater Los Angeles. The Gabrielina also lived on the southern Channel Islands. The Luiseno and the Kumeyaay, also called the Diegueño, lived further south. The Kumeyaay were made up of the Ipi and the Tipi. Their lands included the area around what is now San Diego. Forgive me, boys and girls. I'm trying to read the pronunciation guides because these words are new to me too. The people of the southern coastal region use the natural resources around them to meet their needs. But the climate where they lived is warmer and drier than that farther north. There are no redwoods or giant cedars, and there are fewer rivers. The Indians in this area use different resources. And so here is a map of some of the tribes that lived in the southern coast of California. These are the Indians that lived where we are in Southern California in present day. So now let's learn about the Chumash. The Pacific Ocean was the main source of food for the Chumash. They fished its waters. They caught crabs and collected mussels and abalone in its shallow waters and dug for clams along its shore. Acorns were another major source of food. The Chumash also hunted animals and gathered plants. Like most California Indians, the Chumash built their villages where they found fresh water. For their houses, the Chumash bent and tied willow branches into dome-shaped frames. Then they covered the frames with thick layers of tulle, a tall, flexible marsh plant with a spongy stem. The Chumash were expert traders and canoe builders. They made dugout canoes and canoes built out of tulle. They also built a kind of canoe called a tomel. This large canoe was built with wooden planks. To make the planks, the Chumash split logs that washed up along the shore. They sewed the planks together with ropes made from plant fibers. The Chumash had a natural resource that many other tribes did not have. On some of their lands, tar bubbled up from the ground. The Chumash used this tar to make their baskets and their plank canoes waterproof. Like other California tribes, the Chumash had a government. A government is a system for deciding what is best for a group of people. Let's look at the text feature on the bottom of this page here. I'm going to read the caption to help me understand it. To the left, a Chumash man is shown posing with a bow and arrow. A Chumash basket and a rattle made out of turtle shells are sewn below. Okay, we're going to pick up at the top here of page 71. But I have to think about this for a sec because it says it provides a way for groups. What were they talking about? Let me go back and see. Oh, that's right. We said a government is a system for deciding what is best for a group of people. It provides a way for groups to make rules and choose leaders. Each Chumash village had a leader. When the leader died, the leader's son usually became the next leader. If the leader had no son, then a daughter, sister, or brother became leader. The village leader decided who could hunt animals or gather food in each area. He or she also met with the leaders of other villages. Those meetings helped the villages cooperate or work together. A Chumash village had several houses, a place for storing food, a sweat lodge, and a public area for ceremonies. Like many other Indian groups, the Chumash used legends to explain the world. One told of how Sun carried a torch that gave light to the world. The torch was made of rolled up bark. When Sun snapped the burning bark, the sparks that flew off became stars. And here is a text box about the geography. You may read that to learn more. The Gabrielino, the Luiseno, and the Kumeyaay. The Gabrielino lived south of the Chumash, but the two tribes had similar cultures. They used many of the same resources, and they often traded with each other. Like the Chumash, the Gabrielino built plank canoes, fished, and hunted sea mammals. The tribes also lived in similar kinds of houses. They used tar, shells, and soapstone. Soapstone is a soft rock that the Gabrielino carved into animal figures and bowls. The Gabrielino believed in a spirit called Quawar, or giver of life. One legend tells that water once covered earth. Quawar ordered 7 giant turtles to hold the land up out of the water. He told the turtles to be still so that things could grow on the land. But the turtles grew restless and moved, causing the earth to shake. With this legend, the Gabrielino explained earthquakes. South of the Gabrielino lived the Luiseno and the Kumeyaay. These tribes fished, gathered acorns and other foods, and hunted. Like most of the California tribes, they also managed the land around them. They sometimes set fires to burn off brush so that grasses and other plants could grow better. This way, they made sure that deer, rabbits, and other animals would have plenty of food. In turn, there would be plenty of animals for the Indians to hunt. This photograph of a Kumeyaay house was taken in 1924. What materials is this house made from? So you can look at that picture and go back up into the text to see what materials this might be made from. Before hunting or harvesting, the Luiseno and the Kumeyaay held ceremonies. They believed that ceremonies were a way to give thanks and to keep themselves in harmony with nature, with each other, and with their ancestors. They also believed the ceremonies would repair the harm done to Earth over the previous year and prevent sickness in the new year. Here's a summary of this lesson. The Chumash, Gabrielino, Luiseno, and Kumeyaay depended on the natural resources available to them in the dry, warm environment of the southern coastal region of California. California Indians today carry on the traditions of their ancestors. This dancer participates in a Gabrielino ceremony called the Harvest Dance. Okay, boys and girls, it's time to open up the slides in your Google Classroom for today's lesson and show me what you learned.